of Brian Thompson. Number one, Luigi Mangione will not face the death penalty if a jury convicts him of Thompson's murder. Second, despite a dogfight by his attorneys to keep Mangione's backpack out of evidence before a jury, we've now learned that backpack can stay in as evidence, and a jury will see it. So let's go live to CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman. Katrina, what's behind these rulings?
Reed, when it comes to the two charges that have been dismissed, what the judge says, and it's a little bit complicated, is that the murder and firearms related charges, which carried the weight of the death penalty, those got dismissed. In order to stay in and keep the death penalty, they relied on the two stalking charges that do remain on being considered what's called a crime of violence. And the judge said that under federal law, while it may seem antithetical to some, since clearly there is a charge where a murder was committed here, that those stalking charges don't technically meet the definition of a crime of violence. As a result, she dismissed those two other charges. The death penalty is now off the table, Reed, but Mangione still could face life in prison. Now, when it comes to the backpack, she is going to allow the contents of his backpack to be let in as evidence at trial. Her reasoning behind that is she says that there are certain exceptions to getting a warrant that would apply here, including something called the inevitable discovery doctrine, that in the lawful conduct, the search, that these ultimately would have been discovered through other procedures. So the fact that they didn't have a warrant necessarily, ultimately it becomes a moot point. So both a good and a bad day for Luigi Mangione. On the plus side, the death penalty is off the table, but the contents of that backpack will be let in. That includes a firearm and a notebook with some writings that are very key to the prosecution's case, Reed.
All right, and speaking of that case, so what comes next? Because we know it took us weeks of argument in court just to get these two findings.
That's right. I mean, basically next we're going to be leading up to this trial. The sides are going to be doing procedures that work towards putting together a jury questionnaire. Ultimately, that jury selection should take place on September 8th, Reed. If this is no longer a capital trial, the trial will take place in October. The judge said next week she's going to reach out and set some deadlines. Now, there is still the possibility that the prosecution could decide to appeal this ruling about the charges being dismissed. As of today in court, they said they were still mulling over that decision. The judge asked them to give her a more firm response or let her know a timeline by February 27th. So that's the only thing that could ultimately potentially change the timeline here. Otherwise, we're just going to proceed up to a trial starting with jury selection in September.
Katrina Kaufman, fascinating developments. Thank you so much.